Daisy saw the stray Labrador in the park for 5 days straight. She decided to adopt it. To gain its trust, she gave it food and toys, which worked well. One day, while petting the dog, she felt something on its neck. Was it a collar? She quickly checked for details and found something surprising on the tag. When she showed her husband, they both knew they had to take action. After Daisy and her neighbors noticed a stray dog frequenting the park, they began bringing him food. The dog, a large furry Labrador, seemed appreciative of their kindness. Despite their efforts, Daisy couldn't shake off her concern. Although it was evident the dog hadn't been on her own for long, no one recognized him. He stayed close to the park, seldom straying, especially once they started providing regular meals and water. Daisy and her neighbors hoped that by consistently showing kindness, they could earn the dog's trust and potentially help him reunite him with his owners. Yet Daisy couldn't shake a troubling thought. What if the dog had escaped from an abusive or neglectful home? She was accustomed to seeing dogs wagging their tails, eager to play. This dog, however, exhibited a markedly different demeanor. He was wary of everyone and refused to let anyone get close. Even when they offered food, they would only begin eating once they had retreated enough for him to feel secure. After 3 days passed with no one claiming the dog, the neighbors decided it was time to take action. Daisy took the initiative and called animal services, hoping they could help. However, her heart sank when she learned they might take the dog to a shelter where he might be euthanized if not adopted within 5 days. Distraught by this possibility, Daisy refused to disclose the dog's whereabouts and ended the call determined to find another solution. While the other neighbors lost interest over time, Daisy remained committed. She continued visiting the park to feed and check on the dog. Each visit strengthened their bond. He began to trust her more, and she found solace in his company. As days passed, Daisy realized that surrendering the dog to a shelter wasn't the only option. Though she had never considered having a pet before, she discussed the idea with her husband, and to her delight, he agreed to adopt the stray. Both Daisy and her husband were filled with excitement and anticipation at the thought of welcoming the dog into their home. Before they could bring the dog home, Daisy and her husband John faced the challenge of catching him. They went to the store and stocked up on wet food, toys, and treats, hoping these would capture the dog's interest. They found him near the park's picnic tables, where they presented their offerings. Daisy was astonished by the dog's reaction. He greeted her with evident kindness and showed genuine interest in the food they brought. What amazed Daisy even more was that the dog approached them willingly, without needing to be called. This gave her a surge of hope that they could provide him with a far better home than he had had before. Despite her excitement, Daisy understood the importance of patience. She knew rushing things could jeopardize their efforts. However, before we delve into what unfolds next, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. As usual, Daisy set down the food near the dog and initially began to walk away, respecting his need for space. However, on this particular day, she decided to stay where she was. The dog appeared visibly uneasy with her change in routine, hesitating as if unsure what to do next. With a soft, reassuring voice, Daisy called out to him, prompting him to cautiously approach, taking hesitant steps forward. Hunger eventually overcame his wariness, leading him closer to the food, though he remained tense. Once he began eating, he didn't rush off immediately. Seizing the moment, Daisy gently reached out and began to pet him. It was then that she felt the presence of a collar, concealed beneath the thick fur she had not noticed before. Her heart sank momentarily. Could it be possible her assumption was wrong, and this dog already had a loving home to return to, making adoption impossible? Swiftly, before the dog could react, Daisy turned the collar, hoping to find contact information, perhaps an owner's phone number or details of a nearby veterinary clinic. Instead, what met her gaze was a user's name and password etched into the tag, devoid of any other identifying information. Curiosity piqued, Daisy continued to scrutinize the collar, and to her surprise, stumbled upon a third line of text that left her gasping. Daisy carefully lifted the dog into her arms and beckoned John over. Showing him the series of numbers engraved on the collar, they speculated that they might be coordinates, possibly indicating the location of the dog's owner's home. However, the mystery deepened as they pondered why the tag also bore a user's name and password. Determined to unravel the puzzle, John quickly searched the coordinates online and confirmed they corresponded to a specific address. With this newfound information, they resolved to drive to the location with the dog in tow. During the journey, a contemplative silence enveloped Daisy and John. Their affection for the dog had grown, and they earnestly hoped to provide him with a permanent home. Yet, they understood the importance of ensuring the dog rightfully belonged with them. In the back seat, the dog remained surprisingly calm throughout the drive. However, as they neared the destination, his demeanor shifted. An unmistakable excitement emanated from him, suggesting he recognized the approaching location. As they approached a desolate industrial part of town, characterized by sparse trees and seemingly abandoned houses, Daisy and John couldn't shake off a sense of unease. It didn't feel like a suitable environment for a dog. Despite their misgivings, they eventually arrived at the designated address and parked in front of the house. John decided it would be prudent for him to investigate while Daisy remained in the car with the dog. Exiting the vehicle, John approached the front door and knocked, but there was no response. He then moved towards one of the windows, peering inside to gather more information. Suddenly, he turned back towards the car and attempted to convey something to Daisy, but his words were lost in the distance. Seeing this, Daisy decided to open one of the windows to better hear him. This action turned out to be exactly what the dog had been waiting for. Seizing the opportunity, the dog leaped from the back seat into Daisy's lap and promptly darted out of the window. With unwavering determination, he sprinted towards the house at full speed. John, witnessing the dog's swift action, realized there was no way he could intervene or stop him now. The dog made his way to the side of the house and slipped inside through a broken window. By this point, Daisy had joined John near the house. Despite their calls, there was no response from inside except for the dog's occasional barking. Fearing for the dog's safety and curious about the situation, Daisy decided to explore the rear of the house. While she found no one there, she did notice an open back door. Uncertain about entering someone else's property uninvited, Daisy hesitated briefly. However, her concern for the dog outweighed her reservations. She quickly called John over, and together they cautiously entered the house. It became evident that the residence had been uninhabited for quite some time as they explored the empty ground floor devoid of any signs of recent occupancy. They proceeded upstairs where the dog's persistent barking led them to a bedroom. Inside, they discovered the dog lying on a bed, but he was not alone. Beside him, tucked under the covers, was an elderly, frail-looking man gently petting the animal. Upon entering the room, the elderly man initially didn't acknowledge Daisy and John's presence. He appeared frail and in poor state of health. It took some time before he noticed the couple standing in the corner of the room. His reaction was one of fear, leaving Daisy and John uncertain about how to proceed. However, the Labrador's excited response to their presence seemed to ease the man's apprehension. Gradually, the three of them began to converse. The dialogue progressed slowly as the elderly man spoke in a soft voice, pausing frequently between words. He shared that he had been living in the house for many years. Apparently, the previous owners had abandoned the property, and due to its derelict condition, it had attracted no interest from buyers. The man also revealed that the dog's name was Jacko, and he had originally belonged to the previous owners who had left him behind with the house. Further revelations followed. The elderly man had been homeless for decades, and one fateful night had stumbled upon the abandoned house, seeking refuge. It was there that he had encountered Jacko, and the bond between them had formed. Jacko wore the collar that had been placed on him by his previous owners. As the conversation unfolded, the elderly man revealed that his health had been declining, that his time was drawing near. Fearing he wouldn't be able to care for Jacko much longer, he made a heartfelt decision. He believed it would be best to leave Jacko in the park before he passed away, hoping the dog would have a chance at a new life. The man expressed his dying wish to Daisy and John that they would adopt Jacko and provide him with the loving care he deserved. He thanked them sincerely for bringing Jacko to him one last time so he could bid farewell to his beloved companion. Despite the emotional weight of the moment, the time had come to part ways. Daisy and John were deeply moved by the man's story and offered to take him to the hospital, but he declined. He explained that he preferred to face his final journey alone. Reluctantly, Daisy and John bid farewell to the man, promising him that they would fulfill his wish by adopting Jacko and giving him a loving home. The man's eyes lit up with gratitude upon hearing their promise, affirming to Daisy and John that they were making the right decision. Were you expecting that twist? Share your thoughts with us below. It's incredible how many untold stories stray dogs carry with them. Jacko's journey had a heartwarming conclusion. Before you go, remember to give this video a thumbs up and share it with others and subscribe for more content. Till next time, this is Mickey V.